Before we begin, a warning. Viewer discretion is advised. What you're about to read is not an ordinary celebrity mishap or another awkward daytime TV exchange. This is the story of how a routine appearance turned into a stunning on-air confrontation, one that blindsided audiences, rattled producers, and left an indelible mark on two Hollywood icons. It is the moment Whoopi Goldberg launched a shockingly personal attack on Michael J. Fox, a man whose decades of courage and advocacy have made him one of the most beloved figures in entertainment. It is the moment when a national sweetheart reached her breaking point, and the world watched a line get crossed that could never be uncrossed. The day began calmly at the View Studios in New York City. Sunlight poured through the towering windows overlooking Manhattan, coating the set in warm gold. Production assistants moved quickly but confidently through their usual routine, checking cameras, testing microphones, adjusting seats. Everything about the morning felt smooth and optimistic. Michael J. Fox was on the guest list, and whenever his name appeared on the schedule, the mood in the building always brightened. Michael had spent years openly discussing his battle with Parkinson's disease, transforming pain into purpose and raising hundreds of millions for research. He had no scandals attached to his name, no history of controversy, just an unwavering commitment to using his fame to help others. The audience filing into the studio knew exactly who they were coming to see. Many had grown up watching him. Others were living with Parkinson's themselves or caring for someone who was. They hoped for inspiration, for comfort, for a reminder that resilience was possible. Backstage, makeup artists worked with calm efficiency while Michael reviewed his notes. Updates on new research, a few uplifting stories, and excerpts from his latest memoir. It was familiar territory for him, the kind of interview he'd done many times, always with humor, gentleness, and grace. What no one foresaw was the storm quietly forming at the host's table. Whoopi Goldberg had arrived with an unusual tension about her, tight jaw, distant eyes, and intensity that didn't match the cheerful atmosphere of the studio. The other hosts assumed she was simply focused, maybe stressed, but nothing alarming. Not yet. When Michael walked onto the set, the room exploded with applause. He moved with careful steadiness, the tremors in his hands visible but unhidden. His smile was bright, genuine, grateful. Joy Behar greeted him warmly. Sunny Hostin beamed. Sarah Haynes and Alyssa Farrah Griffin radiated excitement. Only one person didn't join in. Whoopi barely looked up. The other hosts exchanged subtle glances. Something was wrong. Michael settled into his chair, adjusting his microphone. The air was still warm, still hopeful, until Whoopi lifted her head and spoke. "So, Michael, you're here to talk about your foundation, but don't you think it's a little convenient how you show up whenever you need public sympathy?" Silence dropped like a stone. Michael blinked, confusion flickering across his face. "I'm not sure I understand what you mean, Whoopi." She leaned forward, her tone sharpening. "Come on, Michael. Every time you have something to promote, suddenly your condition becomes the headline. Isn't that using it as a crutch?" The studio's temperature seemed to plummet. Even the cameras hesitated. Joy jumped in immediately. "Whoopi, that's harsh." But Whoopi cut her off. "No, Joy, it's a fair question." She turned back to Michael. "You've made millions talking about Parkinson's. How do we know this isn't just another publicity stunt?" Michael's jaw tensed, though his voice remained steady. "I've lived with Parkinson's for more than 30 years. I talk about it because it helps people. That's all." But Whoopi pressed harder. "At what point does advocacy become exploitation?" The tension was suffocating. Sunny tried to redirect, asking Michael about new research, but Whoopi interrupted again with icy sarcasm. "Let me guess, more money needed?" Michael inhaled slowly, steadying himself. "Actually, our foundation has already funded over $800 million in research, work that has produced real breakthroughs." The battle lines were drawn.
Michael's voice remained steady as he answered Whoopi's latest jab. "We've helped improve the lives of millions of people around the world." "800 million," Whoopi repeated, the sarcasm in her tone unmistakable. "And how much of that went to administrative costs? How much went into your pocket?" The audience shifted uncomfortably. Confused murmurs rippled across the studio. This wasn't the uplifting interview they had expected. This felt darker, meaner, something no one was prepared for. Michael looked at Whoopi squarely. When he spoke, there was steel beneath the politeness. I don't take a salary from the foundation, not a single dollar. Everything I've contributed has come out of my own pocket or from donors who believe in the mission. Whoopi flicked her hand dismissively, as if swatting away a mosquito. Right, and I'm sure all of that is perfectly transparent. The implication hit like a slap. Michael's face flushed, though he kept his composure with visible effort. Sensing the rising tension, Sarah Haynes tried to intervene. Michael, in your memoir, you talk about finding hope in difficult circumstances. What message do you want to give people facing their own health challenges? Michael turned to her, offering a grateful smile. Finally, a real question. But before he could answer, Whoopi cut in again. Oh, please, she scoffed. Here comes the inspirational speech. Something about never giving up, finding the silver lining. Spare us. This time the audience reacted. Discomfort quickly turned into disapproval. They hadn't come to watch cruelty. Michael inhaled deeply, gathering himself. Then, instead of responding to Whoopi, he turned and spoke directly to the camera. I came here because I believed this was a platform for meaningful conversations. Conversations about the real challenges people with Parkinson's and their families face. Meaningful conversations? Whoopi laughed, an ugly, brittle sound. Is that what we're calling sales pitches now? Something cracked inside Michael, just a hairline fracture, but visible. Sales pitches? Whoopi, I'm trying to talk about people who are suffering, people who need hope, people who need research and support. Oh, and you're the hero who's going to save them? The Hollywood savior riding in on a white horse? No, Michael said firmly. His trembling hands contrasted with the growing strength in his voice. I'm someone who refuses to give up, someone who believes that when you have a platform, you should use it to help others. That's when Joy Behar jumped in, her cheeks flushed with anger. Whoopi, what is going on with you today? This is completely inappropriate. But Whoopi wasn't backing down. If anything, she seemed fueled by Joy's pushback. What's inappropriate, she shot back, is when we don't ask the hard questions, when we let celebrities use this show as their personal fundraising platform without scrutiny. The words hung in the air. Michael stood up, trembling, whether from illness or fury, no one could tell. His voice shook with emotion. Manipulation? I share my story to help people feel less alone. If that's manipulation to you, then we have nothing else to talk about. Finally, Whoopi snapped. So you admit? That's not what I said, but you made up your mind before I even sat down. The audience was now openly reacting, calling out in support of Michael. Alyssa Farah Griffin tried weakly. Maybe we should take a commercial break. No, Whoopi said sharply. Our audience deserves the truth. Michael, how much money have you personally made from Parkinson's advocacy? I cannot believe you just asked me that. It's a simple question. If you're so selfless, answer it. When Michael spoke again, each word trembled with hurt. The only thing I've gained is knowing I've helped others, but apparently that concept is foreign to you. The studio gasped. Whoopi's face darkened instantly. Whatever thin layer of professionalism remained vanished. Foreign to me, she whispered dangerously and low. I've been fighting for causes long before you were famous. This isn't about who started first, Michael said quietly. It's about basic human decency. Whoopi laughed, a sharp, chilling sound. Human decency? You show up to every event making sure the cameras catch your trimmers from the perfect angle. That's not advocacy, that's performance art. Joy Behar looked like she wanted to disappear beneath the table. Her face had gone pale, her hands twisting in her lap. This was no longer uncomfortable television. This was cruelty, laid bare on live air, and everyone in the studio could feel it. Joy Behar, stop this, right now. But Whoopi wasn't listening. She wasn't listening to Joy or the audience or the frantic stage manager waving behind the cameras. She was locked in, eyes hard, jaw set, determined to tear down the man sitting across from her. "No, Joy," she snapped. "I'm tired of pretending. I'm tired of celebrities turning their struggles into profit and applause while real people suffer in silence." Michael Shands shook more intensely now, but his voice, though weighted with pain, remained steady. "Real people suffer in silence, Whoopi? I am real people. Everyone with Parkinson's is real people. None of us chose this disease. We only choose how to face it." "Oh, give me a break," Whoopi spat. "Spare us the victim act. You've never been a victim a day in your life. You've been protected, praised, rewarded for every struggle you supposedly endured." "Supposedly endured?" Michael repeated, the words catching in his throat. Tears glimmered in his eyes. "Do you think I'm faking this? Do you think I want my body to betray me? Do you think I chose to lose control of my movements, my speech, my career?" "I think," Whoopi responded icily, "that you turned a tragedy into a brand and convinced yourself it makes you noble." Sunny Hostin slammed her palm on the table. The sound cracked through the studio like a gunshot. "Enough, Whoopi! This is cruel and unacceptable." "Cruel?" Whoopi shot back, rounding on Sunny. "I'm asking questions no one else has the guts to ask. Why are we all so afraid to hold celebrities accountable?" "Accountable for what?" Sarah Haynes demanded, her voice shaking with fury. "For having a disease? For helping other people? What exactly are you accusing him of?" "For profiting off suffering," Whoopi declared, as if revealing a hidden truth. "For making millions while people with Parkinson's can't afford medication or proper care." Michael pushed to his feet, his chair screeching across the floor. His voice erupted with righteous anger. "You think I don't know about those people? I think about them every day. That's why I do this work. Every dollar raised, every study funded, it's for them. Your foundation, your research, your awareness, everything is about you, Michael." "It's about finding treatments," he replied, strength returning to his voice. "It's about finding a cure, so future generations don't have to suffer like we have." "Oh, right, better options, like becoming celebrity advocates, turning illnesses into brands." The audience had turned fully against her now, booing loudly, but Whoopi seemed immune, consumed by her anger. Michael looked out at the crowd, then back at the hosts, most of whom stared at Whoopi with open horror. "You know what?" he said quietly. "I came here to talk about hope and the progress we've made. Instead, I'm defending my right to exist." "No one's questioning your right to exist," Whoopi growled. "I'm questioning your right to exploit that existence." "Exploit?" Michael's voice broke. "Do you know what I've gained personally? The knowledge that my tremors will worsen, that my voice will continue to change, that every day will be harder than the last. And you've gained millions in donations, in book deals and speaking fees. Don't pretend this hasn't been profitable." Alyssa Farah Griffin intervened again, desperate. "Whoopi, please, we need to move forward. The audience came to hear about Michael's work, not to watch you tear him apart." "Character assassination? I'm the only one here who isn't starstruck." Michael stepped closer to her desk, his hands shaking violently now. "What's really happening, Whoopi, is that you decided to attack me without reason, without fairness, without humanity. And that's not journalism, that's cruelty." "Cruel?" Whoopi rose to her feet, facing him. "You call it cruelty to ask about your $50,000 speaking fees?" "I donate them to research," he said quietly. "Every single dollar." "According to who?" Whoopi challenged. "According to the truth," he replied. "But the truth doesn't matter to you today." "The truth," Whoopi roared, "is that you've built an empire on disease." "Opportunist," Michael repeated, letting the word echo. "If helping others makes me an opportunist, then I'll wear that label. But I won't let you diminish the suffering of millions." "A commodity," Whoopi hissed. "You turned your struggle into a commodity."
My struggle, Michael said, his voice trembling with raw emotion, is not a commodity. It is my life. It is my reality. And it is the reality of millions who deserve better than your cynicism. Whoopi stepped around her desk, closing the distance between them. I'm not dismissing anything, she said, but the entire studio knew that wasn't true.
Joy Behar looked as if she wanted to sink through the floor and vanish. Whatever this moment had become, it was no longer spirited daytime debate. It was cruelty, raw, escalating, and unmistakable, and everyone in the studio felt it. The audience murmured anxiously, the co-hosts exchanged frantic glances, and Joy finally rose, her voice shaking. "Whoopi, please stop this right now." But Whoopi wasn't listening. She seemed locked in, driven by an anger none of them recognized. She wasn't reacting to the audience's discomfort or her co-host's alarm. Her focus was singular, dismantling the man seated across from her. "No, Joy, I'm tired of pretending. I'm tired of watching celebrities turn their personal struggles into profit, while real people suffer in silence." Michael's hands trembled more visibly now, his voice carrying the weight of barely controlled emotion. "Real people suffer in silence? Whoopi, I am real people. Everyone living with Parkinson's is real people. None of us chose this disease. We only choose how we respond to it." "Oh, spare me the victim routine," Whoopi shot back, her tone sharp as glass. "You've never been a victim a day in your life. You've been privileged, protected, applauded for every so-called struggle you've endured." "Supposedly endured?" Michael repeated softly. His voice cracked and tears appeared in his eyes. "Do you think I'm faking this? Do you believe I chose for my body to betray me? For my voice to weaken? My movement to change? My career to slip away?" "I think," she said, each word precise and cutting, "that you turned a bad situation into a lucrative second act and convinced yourself it makes you a hero." Sunny slammed her hand on the desk. "Enough, Whoopi. This is cruel. Michael didn't come here to be attacked." "Attacked?" She turned her fury on Sunny. "I'm asking the questions no one else has the courage to ask." "Accountable for what?" Sarah demanded, uncharacteristically sharp. "For having a disease? For trying to help others who have it? What exactly are you accusing him of?" "For profiting from suffering," Whoopi declared, as though announcing an undeniable truth. Michael pushed himself to his feet, chair scraping loudly. "You think I don't lie awake thinking about the people who can't afford treatment? Every dollar we raise, every study we fund, every spotlight we shine, it's for them, not me. Your foundation, your research, your awareness, it's all about you." "No," Michael said, voice strengthening with conviction. "It's about finding better treatments, about making sure people who come after me have options I never had. Like becoming celebrity advocates, turning illness into a brand." The audience erupted in boos, loud, sustained, furious. Joy shot to her feet again, pleading, "Whoopi, stop, please!" But Whoopi kept going, her anger spiraling beyond reach. "Let's talk relevance, Michael. Your career was over decades ago. This disease gave you a way to stay in the spotlight." The boos grew deafening. Some audience members stood, shouting for her to stop. Michael's expression tightened, his voice quiet but powerful. "Whoopi, Parkinson's ended my career. Everything I've done since has been despite the disease, not because of it." Whoopi rolled her eyes. 10 million people have Parkinson's. How many get book deals, talk show invitations, gala appearances? "You're right," Michael said. "Most don't. That's why I use my platform, to speak for them." "To speak over them," Whoopi countered. Sunny stepped forward, voice firm. "Whoopi, this is wrong. Stop." But Whoopi wasn't done. "People with Parkinson's deserve real solutions," she insisted, "not celebrity cheerleading." "False hope?" Michael echoed incredulously. "Our foundation has funded research leading to new medications, therapies, surgical methods, real progress. If that's false hope, what does real hope look like?" "Real hope would be universal health care, not charity galas." "You think those can't coexist? We fight for research and access at the same time."
Audience members shouted for Whoopi to apologize. Alyssa tried to calm the room, but Whoopi turned on the crowd too. "You want me to respect someone who's made a fortune off human suffering?" Michael's restraint shattered. "I've given away more money to Parkinson's research than most people will ever earn. If that's exploitation to you, then your idea of suffering is horribly twisted." Joy rushed back from the producer's booth, her expression grim. Something was about to break, and everyone could feel it.
Joy Behar leaned toward Whoopi, her voice low but urgent. "Whoopi, we've just been told we need to wrap this segment immediately." "Wrap it?" Whoopi blinked, genuinely surprised. "We're finally getting to the important part of the conversation." Mikhail stared at her in disbelief. "Whoopi, this hasn't been a conversation. It's been character assassination. You invited me here under false pretenses and then spent the entire time questioning my motives and attacking my work." "False pretenses?" Whoopi scoffed, her voice rising. "I invited you to have an honest discussion about celebrity advocacy, and that's exactly what we've had." "No," Mikhail replied, steady and certain. "What we've had is you dismissing decades of research, belittling my efforts, and insulting millions of people who live with Parkinson's disease every single day." Behind them, the producers were now fully visible, making frantic cutting motions to stop the segment. Their faces were pale with panic. Sonny Hostin turned toward the camera, voice tight. "We're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll have a different segment." "A different segment?" Whoopi frowned, as if the idea were absurd. "We're not done." "Yes, we are," Joy said firmly. For the first time since the confrontation began, her voice carried unmistakable authority. "Whoopi, it needs to end, now." But Whoopi pushed forward, unable or unwilling to pull back. She turned to Mikhail one last time, eyes burning with challenge. "Before you leave, look into that camera and tell our audience how much money you have personally made from Parkinson's advocacy in the last decade." The entire studio seemed to freeze. Mikhail held her gaze for a moment, then turned to the camera with calm determination. "I want to tell your audience that every person living with Parkinson's disease deserves respect, dignity, and hope. I want them to know research is advancing, treatments are improving, and no one should ever feel ashamed of their illness or their advocacy." "That's not what I asked," Whoopi pressed. "It's the only answer you're getting," he said softly. He looked to the other co-hosts. "Joy, Sonny, Sarah, Alyssa, thank you for trying to maintain professionalism during this ambush." "Ambush?" Whoopi said, incredulous. "This wasn't an ambush. It was journalism." Mikhail turned back to her, something like profound disappointment etched in his expression. "Whoopi, this wasn't journalism. And deep down, I think you know that." The tension in the studio was suffocating. Security had quietly positioned themselves around the set. Audience members shifted in their seats, whispering, upset. The co-hosts were stunned, embarrassed, shaken. Whoopi folded her arms, chin lifted. "Fine. If you can't handle tough questions, maybe you shouldn't be doing interviews." Mikhail let out a short, bitter laugh. "Whoopi, tough questions are part of good journalism. What you did today wasn't journalism. It was something much uglier." And then, in the moment that would define the interview for years, Whoopi turned to the producers. "If Mikhail can't participate in an honest discussion about his advocacy work, then maybe he should leave." Silence fell. Absolute, piercing silence. The kind that makes a room feel colder. Mikhail looked around, at the horrified audience, the shocked co-hosts, the producers scrambling behind the cameras. He nodded slowly, with the heavy clarity of someone who knew there was nothing left to salvage. He removed his microphone carefully, his trembling hand struggling with the clip. When he finally stood, he held himself with quiet dignity. "You're right, Whoopi. I should leave. But not because I can't handle tough questions. I'm leaving because this isn't advocacy or journalism or honest discussion. It's cruelty, and I won't participate in cruelty." He turned toward the exit.
And then something extraordinary happened. Applause began, hesitant at first, then quickly swelling into a thunderous ovation that filled the studio. People rose to their feet as he passed, some reaching out to squeeze his hand, others wiping tears from their eyes. The applause wasn't just for Mikhail, it was a collective rejection of what they had just witnessed. Whoopi remained seated, arms crossed, wearing a strange look of satisfaction, as if convinced she had won something. But the co-hosts refused to meet her eyes, and the applause only grew louder, drowning out whatever victory she believed she had achieved. At the edge of the set, Mikhail paused and looked back one last time. He said nothing. He didn't need to. His silence spoke louder than any words could. He walked out. The door closed behind him with a soft click that echoed like a gunshot. The cameras cut to commercial, but the damage had already been done. What was meant to be a simple promotional interview had become something entirely different. A moment of national reckoning, a lesson in dignity under fire, and a stark demonstration of the strength it takes to walk away from cruelty with your humanity intact.